Speed Gaming presents the 2019-2020 Link to the Past Randomizer Tournament. Tonight, we present to you Game 1 of this best-of-3 series between P-Train and WillardJBradley. In this round of 32 matchup, I'm Adirondack Rick, being joined by Sabatender. These two know each other. These two are very familiar with each other, but how did they get here?
Yo, Rick, how's it going, buddy? I'm really glad to be on the call with you here. These guys, how did they get here? Well, we had P-Train get through the round of 64 against Top Life. It was a nail-biter of a three-game set there. Came right down to some kind of lucky plays in that third on. I think he's got a decent shot against Willard, who's been playing really well through the tournament. He took down Astor in his first round of the brackets. And he's just been kind of steamrolling along. He's seated at number 5, and that's for a good reason. He's been really great this tournament. Rick, how you feeling about this one?
Oh, I'm feeling pretty good about this one. Should be a really good matchup between these two. Now, if you're going by the fan vote, WillardJBradley currently has an 85% to 15% advantage, but that may be just to Willard's great reach and following.
Yeah, Willard's been in the community for so long. People know the name. P-Train has also, made a name for himself. But, I guess when you're up against someone like Willard, people might not think that you got the game. But I know that P-Train can deliver. He and I are good buddies. We've played in the Link to the Past Randomizer League together. It's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I think it should be a really close one.
Now, an interesting note here about P-Train, he has not won a Game 1 yet in this tournament. He's hoping to change that tonight.
Yeah, winning that first game, it gives you a lot of you feel a little better about Game 2. You can kind of maybe take a couple more risks. If something goes wrong, there's always Game 3 to fall back on. So getting that edge, starting out with a win is always a good feeling.
But that does also mean that P-Train is undefeated in Games 2 and Games 3 in this tournament. So let's go ahead. Let's have ourselves a fun match here. We have these two great Link to the Past Randomizer runners, P-Train, WillardJBradley. We're about ready to begin. What is going to be the go mode item as we're underway?
What's going to be the go mode item? It's probably going to be like your usual medallion situation.
It's not going to be Bombos, though, as we got ourselves a map check. We got Tower of Hera as a pendant, and we've got Eastern and Desert, both crystals.
Interesting. So with Bombos coming up early here, it's not going to be needed to get into either Turtle Rock or Misery Mire. That's just how this game works, right?
We'll see how this game wants to treat these runners, if it's going to be nice. We do see P-Train getting a favorable bush crab pull of some bombs here, which is very nice. WillardJBradley not getting as great of a fortune from the tier pull, but you do need some rupees to play this game, and getting 20 from the pull tree is pretty nice when you need 100 of them to make a few purchases in Kakariko Village.
Yeah, we've got some divergence off the start here. Willard going for the Uncle start, just maybe hoping for something to show up here.
Well, Guess what? We do have a sword at the Aghanim ledge, so we're not going to see gold sword for these runners unless Aghanim does turn out to be required. Then, of course, because you had to defeat Aghanim, you're going to get that sword.
Yeah, otherwise that might just kind of sit there and collect some dust.
And we do get 300 rupees inside of the Lost Woods. That's going to help out with P-Train setting himself up pretty nicely for the rupees here, as Willard hopes to get lucky with the 50-50s. Does get 1 out of the 2. And at this point, the chat is hoping to get some swords on the tablets. That would really make things interesting, but the seed's not going to be that disgusting, is it?
I certainly hope not.
So we're getting 2 different directions here. We get the lamp at the race game, which is really nice to see this early on, as P-Train is going to go ahead and investigate Kakariko Village from the north.
Yeah, so hopefully with these first checks into Kakariko here, it'll give us some indication as to where the seed wants us to go.
We got ourselves a blue male, which is nice defensive upgrade at this point. I'm going to still put in a guess here for the go mode item to be the Cane of Samaria.
Ooh, yeah, I can believe that.
We do know the Cane of Samaria is likely going to be required, having only seen one pendant in the light world that increases the opportunity that we will have a crystal at either Misery Mire or Turtle Rock, if not both.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, shovel at the library there. That's one of those things. Like, don't forget that is there, even though it's the silly fetch item. And there's the Moon Pearl hanging out in the Kakariko Well.
Well, that makes it interesting now because the boots now are attached to two different items here. The sword upgrade, as we find the gloves there, now we're just bombs or, I was going to say hammer or Titan's Mint away from having Dark World access already. So P-Train can go to the Dark World before he is going to even check like South Shore and such. 300 rupees from the bottle vendor.
Yikes, this is moving along quickly here with this Dark World access so soon. You're probably going to want to clear out a little bit of the Light World before you dip right into the Dark World, but who knows?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see one of these runners make that Dark World. If one of these two, it's going to be Willard, because of the way he's approaching this, he's coming in from the south, so therefore that portal is going to be right on his way if he chooses to go that direction.
Yeah, I could see Willard maybe giving it a go, but yeah, P-Train is probably not thinking that at all.
Yeah, especially since he's now heading south here to check to see what's in the library, see that the shovel's there, check to see what's at the race game, which he will see the lamp there as well. Willard doesn't have enough rupees for the bottle vendor at this point. Good opportunity for rupees. We did see some of them here in this village, so he will not forget about bottle vendor at some point here. And there's the gloves and the Moon Pearl for Willard. So now he's got to make that decision. Do you go to the Dark World at 5 minutes in?
I don't know. I don't know if you do.
Well, if Willard leaves this house and goes to the left, now don't forget, he still got to get the bottle vendor because you don't want to leave that behind, because it's the worst thing ever when you leave behind a square and it turns out to be an important item. No, it's not in this case, but you don't know that when you don't check it.
Exactly, yeah.
So P-Train is going to go and go to the Sanctuary, which I think P-Train's going to get some Dark World action too.
I think he looks like he's going for a back of escape
back of
there.
escape. Yes, that's right. And he does get his map check. He does see the Hera is the blue pendant. As Willard goes and gets his 300 rupees in the bottle vendor, and he's going to the right, which means he is going to check the Lost Woods, at least of this area. What does he do after he's done? Because this still will give him ample opportunity to go to the Dark World if he chooses.
Yeah, I wonder if he might just head up the mountain just to get that the old man taken care of. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do here.
You know, the scary thing about this, Sabatender, is the fact that you have way too many options. This is where luck is going to really push who will have an advantage in this race, because we don't know where the next progression item is going to be. It could be here on the South Shore, but that's where P-Train is heading. It could be in the Dark World. We don't know.
Yeah, the game has just opened up so much so quickly here. There's a ton of different ways this could go.
As P-Train gets 20 rupees and Willard's pulling out the hammer, he is going to the Dark World at 7 minutes in.
I feel like this is something that I would probably do as well. So I definitely like the play.
Sometimes you have to feel how the logic is talking to you, and Willard feels at this point that this seed is giving you Dark World access for a reason. Now, there's an ice rod right there underneath the water. Now, so this is not going to be the classic searching for an ice rod for your go mode in this seed. Map check and pendants, Thieves Town and Mire, 5-6 Swamp and Ice. So now that makes Thieves Town an eerie option. Do you go in or do you stay out?
I don't know. I feel like there's just so much that you can check, things that'll be like actual progress for you. I think you probably have to skip that for now.
What does Agina have? This is also an early check that you don't see a lot of runners make. So P-Train's hoping that if there's something good here, he will get an advantage. And there's a sword.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. I'd take that. Say that's a sword in kind of a goofy location, so that makes, 2 swords that are in kind of silly spots.
Just a brief little mention here that Willard apparently tried to do a chest turn while he was opening up that chest and didn't hit the buttons at the same time. And had to go right back just to a couple of frames lost right there as Willard heads in. There's the other sword.
All right.
2 swords found. We now know where 3 of our swords are.
Alrighty, Mini Moldorm Cave. Our first look here at the Mini Moldorm Cave. 50 rupees, 10 arrows, 20 rupees, heart, and Cane and Burna.
So P-Train here continuing on his path, which will suggest to us that he is at least thinking about doing at least one more check at this point. Is it going to be the Ice Rod Cave, or is he setting up fake flippers? He could still be doing that after he's done with the Ice Rod Cave, but he is heading for Ice Rod Cave at this point as Willard is searching Thieves Town. This is a pendant dungeon, so you get that eerie feeling. Should I be here or should I be skipping this?
What have we seen item-wise so far? Has it just been one item? Make that 2.
Nothing.
Oh, hey, that's a nice one.
Fire Rod, though, so that is a required item.
I feel like at this point I would bail on this dungeon. Like, you've already been given a gift here with that Fire Rod. I bet you the back is all trash. If I'm wrong, I would be fine with that. But it feels like, I don't know, that's all the goods. Alrighty, so P-Train maybe gonna do some fake flipper action here. Let's see where he decides to go.
So P-Train is going to be doing fake flippers at this point in time. Moon Pearl makes this a very good, valuable effort here as he will realign himself. Does the bush to make the screen transition pretty well here. So P-Train going into the waterfall cave, gets himself the first bottle we've seen and our first shield as well. He's going to take that bottle, throw it in, and get himself a fairy in a bottle while Willard gets a flute.
Wow. This is pretty good play by Willard, I guess. Man, that's going to be a tough spot to make the call to go into. Like, I don't know how he's done it here. This is why he's so good at this darn game.
He's only got 1 heart remaining, so let's see how he really is in this Thieves Town at this point. And one thing to note about that flute, we don't know if it's required at this point because Mire is pendant. but it could be the access we need to Desert Palace. Don't forget that.
Yeah, definitely something to consider. That is one of our crystals.
Okay, so Willard's gonna have to be a little careful there. He does move out of the way. He did see the beam coming out, so that did at least encourage him to move over so he wouldn't get hit by any further. As P-Train is heading towards the escape area, and he'll probably go deeper into Hyrule Castle at this point in time.
Yeah, P-Train choosing to be careful about, taking care of some light world stuff before venturing out into the dark world. It's a bit of a safer strategy. I think it's equally viable as Willard's playing the thieves here. So, Willard's is just paying off right now, which is great for him. Hopefully, to kind of even things out, P-Train finds something in the front of escape here.
And so Willard here facing off against Blind. Blind will drop an item. So let's see how Blind's script goes. Looks pretty solid through the first two phases. Just going to hug the wall there, allow the heads to walk by. Does get tackled by a head, but does have the hearts to withstand it. Does finish off Blind and picks up a piece of heart and the red pendant for his efforts.
All in all, a great pendant Thieves Town for Willard. Gutsy play early on in the seed. I guess he's just thinking that because it is only 10 minutes in when he started the dive into the dungeon, like, this is time that I can make up if it's something, if I'm wrong here.
Getting the fire rod, getting the flute out of there, he will feel pretty good about his dive into there. Now, his next step probably now will be to finish off a Skull Woods that he can beat. Now, 5 hearts can get a little nerve-wracking, but he's going to check to see what's on the bumper ledge first. It's just a piece of heart there. So now next stop for him probably will be Skull Woods. See what this fire rod leads to.
Yeah, you got a newly minted piece of progression there. You definitely want to keep following it. So, yep, this is the play for sure.
So P-Train's allowing that green guard to stay alive. Now, don't forget he's got a fairy in a bottle, so he can't do an immediate death warp at this point. He's going to have to release the fairy if he wants to go check Dark Cross. And hopefully he remembers that he has the fairy in a bottle, because he's down to a heart and a half. There he goes. He releases the fairy, gets away from the fairy so it doesn't grab him to refill his life. That is a good death warp there by P-Train. We did see the map in the back 3 of Escape, I do believe, so therefore there is an item here in this Dark Cross.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So Willard in the pinball room of Skull Woods getting a whole bunch of keys. He did get the big key, so he can check the big chest at this point in time. You never know when it's got something required.
Yeah, and Willard seems to have a nose for progression right here, so this very well could be something else.
Nice alignment here for the bomb jump. Gets it taken care of pretty well. Gets a key for his efforts. So the first section of Skull Woods, nothing but keys.
Alright, it looks like P-Train has had enough of the light world. He is heading into the dark.
Can we get some hype here? Because he's going to be checking Hype Cave as his first destination in the Dark World, as Willard gets himself lined up, trying to take care of this statue room. And it looks like he's got this pretty well done. Yeah, this is pretty good strats here from Willard. His NMG strats are coming to great use for him here. Unfortunately, it's just for 20 rupees as P-Train heads into the Hype Cave, where the boots are.
Nice, nice.
And don't forget, we know where there's a shovel. It's in the library. Is it required? We don't know, but P-Train can now run fast.
Yeah, they're the boots aren't too, they're not in some, far-flung spots. So Willard is definitely going to be picking those up at some point soon. But anytime you've got the boots and your opponent doesn't, is time that you're making up by moving fast across the map.
Yeah, and you gotta figure that Willard, after he is done with this Skull Woods, is we get to see Odie as the bunny sprite when he gets hit with a beam. And Mothula is going to drop the second item of this Skull Woods. And was that a bottle there on Pyramid Ledge?
Yeah. It sure was.
And because he already got a bottle from the waterfall, he has absolutely no reason to pick it up here, as Willard about to take care of Mothula. Now, keep in mind, Willard does only have the fighter sword, so we're going to see how well he can do with the hammer blind. He is going to pick up the magic. That is a great pickup for him, because that's going to give him a ranged attack against this Mothula. As P-Train facing off against Catfish, does Catfish have something important here? Yes, he's got the magic cape. It's a nice safety to have.
Yeah, we've already seen the bumper ledge, so...
Yep, as Willard peppers off this Mothula, and nice fight with the fire rod for Willard, and he gets the book. So that beats the flute as far as a required thing, unless something's in Meyer's shed, Meyer, or checkerboard, or the green pendant.
Yeah, so I mean, the flute's definitely a nice find. I'd rather have it than not, but that book could at least even things up a little bit. P-Train
of Samaria. So that is not our go mode item. I am incorrect.
I am still holding out hope for another medallion being required.
Well, you got a 2 and 3 chance of that.
Okay, so P-Train heading up the mountain here. This is kind of cool. Can't do too much with what he's got, but I mean, save the old man, see what's in Spec Rock. Just a little bit of intel.
I think the idea here is because he was already checking the bonk rocks, he might as well go here to maximize his time that he's out here in the overworld. And the bug catching that from the old man is Willard is now heading back to the light world, going to go back to the sanctuary. And at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if, yep, there's the flute pickup for him. He's going to go ahead and activate this flute.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good call. You've got that added, hey.
Hi there.
What is that going to do for us?
Well,
doesn't do much for P-Train right now.
It does put the Zora and the Zora Ledge into logic. So there is that. We never saw what Zora had. We never saw what Zora's Ledge had, as he ended up just doing, and he's hovering at this point. That madman, look at him go. There's a perfect hover for him. My question is what is he planning on doing? Oh, he's going to do Spike Cave.
I'm not surprised by this play. He was watching me earlier in the daily race, and there was some progression here in my race. So,
and he mentioned during that there was progression in his race. It was against Top Life, wasn't it? That was what led him to the Game 3 win. So he's gonna have enough magic to get through here. Is there progression inside? Well, I don't know how you feel about the boomerang, but to me, that's not progression.
It's not. It is a unique item, though, so I guess there is that.
So the next question is will Willard have to double back to this desert? If the key or the big keys on the torch or required items on the torch, then we know the answer to that is yes. And he's going to have to double back here because there's the magic powder.
Interesting. So he's heading out to the ledge here. I didn't quite catch what that item was, or maybe he's
Apparently
not.
wasn't anything
He's gonna save a
required
quid.
here, as Willard finally realizes it. Let's see what the sick kid has. The sick kid is going to give us a little bit of his life. So Willard is about to go into the hype cave, so he will have those boots in just a moment.
The thing that's just not working out for P-Train's getting a lot of checks done, which is really great. But the thing that's not working out for him is he's got nothing that gives him anything to actually complete a dungeon, other than pendant thieves, which I'm sure he's kind of like, do I really want to do this? He might be heading there now because he's got so much that's actually gonna get him through a dungeon. I think he wants to try and get a crystal done, and he just can't right now.
Yeah, the seed is not providing the opportunity to finish off any crystal dungeons until you go into a pendant dungeon. Willard now with the arsenal to be able to beat another crystal dungeon by way of those boots.
So Willard, who's been chest turning the entire game pretty much in Hype Cave, doesn't get one off. I'm very disappointed.
He does have a "you're bad" command for a reason. Maybe that's it.
I'll make sure to use that the next time that I'm chatting with him.
A little bit, a nice heart container there from Stumpy, as WillardJBradley is going to go ahead and play the digging game, where we get to see what dig number the item is going to be. It can be anything between 1 and 30. If you're feeling lucky, it's item number 1. If you're feeling unlucky, it's item number 30, or dig number 30. And trust me, when you're really feeling unlucky and you're playing multi-world, it's dig 30 while everyone's sending you things. Now, a little bit of unfortunate here for P-Train. Now, you remember Willard has to go back into Desert. P-Train's going to have to go back into Skull Woods because he's trying to see if there's something here first as opposed to going into Thieves Town.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You really, pendant thieves, you just don't want to dive that. So I can see why he's putting it off. But I wonder if the fire rod will be enough for him, or if he'll keep going once he gets in there and gets that flute as well. That'll be interesting to see.
That is an interesting question at this point, as whether now his family is going to do the south checks.
So 25 minutes in, I feel like we've seen our runners kind of overlapping and doing checks that the other one's already done. I want to give a shout out to our tracker, Iceman F1, who's been clicking a lot of buttons early on in this race. Much appreciated, dude.
Absolutely. Iceman, one of the hard-working moderators of this tournament, as P-Train gets ready to hover this gap, and that is 2 for 2 on the hovers for P-Train. As Willard is going to be checking the Mini Mordorm Cave coming up in just a moment, as definitely a shout out to everybody watching game number 1. This is a round of 32 match between P-Train and WillardJBradley. So we're starting off with a fresh slate between these two, a 7-7 open defeat Ganon.
Alrighty, P-Train looks like he is heading down to Village of Outcasts. This is going to be an interesting moment for the seed here to see if he grabs that fire rod in the first few of thieves and backs out, or if he sticks it out and is rewarded with the flute as well.
Willard setting up the fake flippers. Now the question is does Willard go further to check to see what Zora has? We did not see that from P-Train. And I don't know if we've got anything of importance over there on the Zora ledge either, but it's something that P-Train's going to be able to pick up when he makes his way over there. And that was an interesting bonk there by P-Train.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
And also, we have notes here because Willard does have the boots. There's the possibility, and there it is, as Willard is going to be dashing away out of the water here. The question was whether or not did Willard have himself set up for a stored water dash, as he sees the heart container on Lake Hylia Island. So, you know P-Train from your many talks with him. Do you see P-Train walking away from this dungeon after the first 4?
You know what? This is a tough call. I would. I can definitely see him. I can definitely see him bailing at that point. But I mean, the fire rod is actually not going to give him too much. It's going to give him back of Skull Woods, but that's it. So he actually might stick it out.
But he does know that the second item is fire rod blocked in Skull Woods.
Yeah.
That might add some fuel to the fire here, as Willard is going to check Zora. Zora gives us a blue rupee. P-Train thinking about it. Now, he is continuing through here. He is not taking a death warp, so he is going to get his flute as well.
So I think him holding off on doing Thieves Town until this late, he's got, not a lot of checks left on the map. He can't bail now. If he'd come here earlier, I think he definitely would have taken off. Willard stuck it out, even 5 minutes into the seed or 10 minutes into the seed. But I think P-Train might have bailed with that fire rod if he had been here earlier.
Also have to bear in mind that this was a 1 out of 3 first 4. So there's 3 items in the back. That leads to some decision making here as well. So we're going to check to see what the powder leads to for Willard as he pulled that out of Desert. People commenting about Willard's fighter sword versus P-Train's master sword. Willard did not visit Agena after his first dip into Desert.
I mean, neither of our runners have been over to the east part of the world at all. So Eastern Palace dip hasn't happened yet. No one's seen what's in Saha's closet yet. And then Pod. I mean, there's a lot of stuff over there, and I think both runners are just kind of putting it off for now, and they're going to try and clear it all out next. There's got to be something over there at this point.
Willard is going to claim his shovel. Now the question is, will Willard check to see what the shovel yields now? We didn't see that from P-Train because P-Train was heading here towards the Dark World. And the way Willard is going, he's going to see what the shovel leads at this point in time.
Makes sense. You've got those booties. You can move real quick. Might as well check the spot.
Here we go. Shovel is 10 arrows. As Willard will go to the flute. And he is going to go back to number 6 and go back into Desert, where one more item remains. And, of course, yet another crystal to add to his collection.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why you'd want to come back and finish off one item, another crystal. But I mean, you can always route this back in a little later when you maybe have access to Meyer's Shed and stuff like that. I don't know. I think I'd probably start heading for Eastern Palace and Pod by now.
I'm wondering if the green pendant at Misery Mire, the fact that it's a pendant, is drawing away some strengths to waiting until you have the Titan's Mitt. As P-Train finishes off with Blind, we'll get his first pendant as Willard is in Desert. And will we see the second item over here on the right-hand side, or will he find it in the big chest, or will it be on Lamola? Now, the swords aren't going to make much of a difference here for Willard. Oh, Titan's Mitt! Right-hand side of Desert Palace, so you could not lump this together with Meyer even if you wanted to.
How is this guy doing it, man? This is amazing. What a god. I definitely wouldn't have done this. Like, wow.
So, as I was about to say, the swords are not going to matter for Willard. He has the fire rod, he has the ice rod. Both of them are great weapons to have for the Lammo fight coming up. For those who are still waiting to see what the seed has in store for both of these runners, don't forget we're still lacking considerable items at this point. We haven't seen the mirror, we haven't seen the hook shot. Both of them are going to be required for Swamp Palace, and obviously the bow is still going to come into play as well.
Yeah, I mean, Willard's finding a lot of stuff so far, but there is still a lot of game left to play here.
And as such, we still do not have access to the right-hand side of Death Mountain.
No, that's true. Yeah, we don't.
So you see Willard pulling out the lamp, which means he's getting ready to do the fire rod strats against Lammola. P-Train is going to see what he digs up. He gets 10 arrows. So now, here's the thing. We don't know where the mirror is. It's likely, it's not guaranteed at this point, but it's very likely that that mirror is behind the Titans-Mitt in the logic chain, which then would require to get the book out of Skull Woods. And I think that's where the next destination for P-Train's going to be after he's done activating this flute, as Willard picks up his second crystal.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I mean, I think Willard's following everything kind of like the way the seed is telling you to. I feel like, I mean, P-Train can, do the exact same thing and, hopefully make up some time with a couple less checks here or there. But yeah, I don't know. Willard so far been making all the right plays.
Still not going to Agena, though. And that is interesting, as we do see it was Ether to get into Misery Mire. P-Train going through this portal, which means he is going back to Skull Woods. We get ourselves 20 rupees, and we also get ourselves 10 arrows, so Mire Shed has nothing of value. And
so that, I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, and bear in mind, we know where sword number 3 is. And none of these runners are going to go and deal with a long process of going to Aghanim to get that sword.
Most definitely not.
Red Mail in King's Tomb. That is a nice defensive upgrade here for Willard. And Willard is about to pick up his Cane of Samaria in just a few moments here.
Yeah, that Ether Medallion, well, actually, Misery Mire is a pendant, so there's not really a whole lot of draw. I was going to say, I forgot that it wasn't a crystal. Really, the big one is going to be Turtle Rock. We need to see what that is, I think.
And we have no way of getting there at this point. Not until we find the mirror or the hook shot. As Willard is going to go and discover that he is not getting Gold Sword this seed. And P-Train doesn't have a lot of magic here, not as much as Willard does. We're going to have to see how well he does with the Master Sword. It's not going to be that big of a deal here for P-Train. He did get a spin on him, which is tempered level damage. Just got to be careful at this point. He does use the fire rod to get him away from the spikes. That was a great move there by P-Train as he finishes off, and he will get the book as well as his first crystal for his efforts.
So this is good. That book is probably gonna push P Train to the desert. He knows he's got the boots that even if it is boots locked, he's good to go. So that's another crystal that he can knock off. And seeing as both runners are seemingly avoiding any play over to Eastern and whatnot, I can see him going for desert as well.
Now, the interesting thing that this also is going to open up for these runners once Willard picks up these flippers coming up in about 30 seconds from now, there's a dungeon that we can get into that may have progression.
Ice Palace is a good play, definitely.
That is correct. Ice Palace could very well be where the next key to the seed is.
Yeah. I mean, you know, our runners are just, I can see that they're not wanting to dip Eastern and Pod because they don't have the bow yet. So they're going to try and do whatever they can to have a bow in hand before they head over that way. And because they're being given so much progression here, there's so many other dungeons that they can do instead. So why not just do those and hope you luck into a bow, avoiding any double dips into some of those other dungeons.
Nice bomb jump there for Willard. That is a very, very tough bomb to line up. But that is definitely showing Willard's comfort there, as he had no real issues lining it up. And so now he's going to check Spike Cave. He will get the red boomerang for his efforts. Not really exactly what he wants, but at least it's not a loose square on your chain. And P-Train about to get his Titan's mitts.
I mean, so what's interesting here is you'll notice that our runners are actually kind of tightening up. Like, Willard's been going to all of, like, the progression, but now he's doing a lot of checks that P-Train spent time doing in the overworld. So once P-Train's done with Landmo here in maybe 2 minutes or so, he'll be right on the same footing as Willard and ready to make more plays.
And so Willard is going to be checking the Ice Rod Cave. He skipped this a little while ago. So if Willard does decide to go into Ice Palace, he will have that sword disadvantage over P-Train. But again, the skill level of these runners, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, Willard's hammerless is pretty impressive. I'm sure Cold Stare's gonna go down no problem.
All right, where is Willard gonna go? Is he fluting to 8 or fluting to 5? He's fluting to 8. It's time for Ice Palace.
Well, did I say hammerless? I don't think I meant hammerless.
I think you did say hammerless, but
I'm a dummy.
I think you meant swordless, but
yes,
we know what you meant.
Oh, I feel bad.
Somebody mentioning about Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock is not accessible to us, not until we get the hook shot or the mirror. No way to get to East Side Death Mountain at this point. All right, Lambo time for P-Train. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beautiful fight. Well, they're going bomb strats here against the Pentagators. Nice job. Gets them down to 2 of them. Almost got both of them. Nice key right there, which will remove a little bit of the question mark of whether or not hookshot was going to be required for this Ice Palace.
Yeah, that's kind of spicy. I like that.
P-Train heading over here. He's going to check Meyer's shed, get the unfortunate news about the 2 lackluster items that are inside. And then we'll see if P-Train follows in Willard's footsteps and going here into Ice Palace.
I'm really excited to see what he decides to do. We were talking about Palace of Darkness earlier, and he's he's not a fan of going in there when he can't complete it. So if he does go for it today, I think it'd be a bit of a surprise. I think he might just go for Ice Palace.
Yeah, here's a check of King's Tomb. We saw this from Willard, so he's going to get his red mail, just like Willard has. Willard about ready to go against the Pennegators round 2. He's down to 3 bombs. Keep that in mind, but he's going to spend 2 of them in this room. And there's P-Train heading here, and we are going to have both of these runners in Ice Palace at the same time. The routes have merged together with Willard with a little bit of an advantage, and there is a bomb pickup for P-Train. He's buying the bomb upgrade as Willard gets a compass. Piece of Heart, item number 1 in this Ice Palace.
I don't know. I got a weird feeling we might find the Ether Medallion in here, and then we'll have to dip Meyer or something. Wow, that's a second item.
The Ether Medallion right there, but that was just a Piece of Heart. Item number 2 has been found. Great bombing there for P-Train. That's why he bought the extra bombs. And Willard, nice use of the hammer dash, getting around the pot right there. As he will go ahead and check to see what's inside of Iced Tea. 1 item remains inside of this dungeon. There's the big key. And isn't it spicy that both flipper required dungeons are part of our 5-6 combo here?
Yeah, definitely. Just where the heck is that darn hook shot, though?
We know it can't be a Pyramid Fairy, but a medallion could very well. A bow could very well be at the Pyramid Fairy as well. Nice bombing there for Willard. Swings and misses with the fire rod. Gets the Quake medallion right there. That's not the Ether.
Sure isn't. All right, so odds are good that TR is probably accessible at this point. I mean, like, still, it could be Ether, who knows?
Yeah.
But I feel better about going up the mountain at this point if we could actually get over there.
Now, don't forget, we do have bombos, as Willard just pulled that out, so we do have that to use against Cold Stare. And also Willard with the fighter sword, he does pull out the fire rod. He's going to use that as part of his assistance here against this Cold Stare fight coming up. There's the hammer pull out there, and also having red mail for this is also going to help. You can take a few more hits and be a little tighter against Cold Stare, although you don't really want to be taking 3 hits by Cold Stare that fast. Down to 3.5 hearts here. He does have a fairy in a bottle, I believe.
It's looking pretty good. Looks like he's got it under control.
Yep,
really nice hammerless fight there.
Yeah, really good fight there. You said hammerless again.
Yes, I did. I said that intentionally. It was part of the joke.
Haha. So getting a key there from Cold Stare means that this was a Kana Samaria required dungeon.
Yes, it was.
I think we have to bite the bullet, Sabtender.
Yeah, I think so. You know, our runners have done a really admirable job putting off everything on the east side of the map, but I mean, you gotta go there now. There's literally nothing else to do. As Willard heads to
think otherwise. Yep, and I think this is going to be a check of maybe grabbing the breadsmith, maybe doing peg cave as well, trying to see if the Tinesmith is a progressional item. We haven't seen the Tinesmith lead to anything of substantial need at this point. As we see P-Train using his Master Sword, allowing him to take a little bit of more of aggressive style against this Cold Stare. And this will be a faster Cold Stare for P-Train as a result.
Alrighty, so I mean, really not too far behind here. If he, maybe skips on these Smith-related checks, he might be able to completely catch up entirely.
And the worst thing here is doing this chain without the mirror. Now, obviously, we do have the flute that's going to help things out, but it's still a rude thing to have to do. Now, does P-Train flute to 3 or does he flute to 5? We still have Sahasrah's Hub. We still have Eastern Palace. We have the Palace of Darkness, and here we go.
Yo, my man, P-Train getting it done. I like this.
All right, somebody could get very lucky real soon. Is it P-Train? Is it Willard? Willard gets the ether! And P-Train gets a whole bunch of money. Oh, that's gonna open up Misery Mire.
Man, like, if Willard does that and there is something in Mire, this guy is the biggest brain player I know.
Is
Like,
checking the pad.
that'd be crazy.
Willard is checking pad.
Why? Why?
Because he wants to see if he needs to beat Misery Mire for the purpose of getting this pedestal. It could still be the bow. It could still be the hook shot. It could still be the mirror. There are still 3 possibilities that we have here with this pedestal. And the text is a little bit of love. Pedestal is dead.
Because of course it is. Why would you ever think that? You've got so much on the east side of the map. Like, I have no idea why. But I mean, he's going for this Mire. Like, this is admirable, honestly. Like, it's big brain stuff right here.
This could actually push Willard to finally check the east side when he trades in that green pendant.
Oh yeah, I mean, after this, he's literally going to have nothing left to do unless he finds something in here.
Now, let's talk about what Willard's going to be dealing with inside of this Misery Mire. He's got Fighter Sword. You know, there's a boss inside of this dungeon that doesn't really like the fact that you have a Fighter Sword.
Yeah, I mean, he might just try and dip it and get the items, and if one of the items is progression, he'd probably leave. Maybe that's what he's thinking. I don't know. I mean, it'd be a pretty gross fight if he goes for Vitreous.
But you gotta also remember, this is green pendant, so Vitreous could very well be a play to make, as we see P-Train mirroring Willard's movement once again. And we get a little bit of rooting here from my commentary partner in the chat. That's a nice, interesting typo there, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking about that darn pedestal. It's so stupid. I hate it.
Pedestal
I want to roll
push him
today. I want to
into
roll.
where Willard is.
Man, the avoidance of Eastern and Pod is pretty impressive, I gotta say.
These two are doing everything in their power to avoid Eastern and the Palace of Darkness. P-Train getting ready to pick up his Ether medallion. So the next question is what does he do afterwards?
he's going to go to Meyer. He's going to do exactly what Willard is doing at this point. I mean, like, this is this is what they're going to do. They're going to completely avoid the east side of the map. Like, it's just what's happening here.
Red rupee item number 1 inside of Misery Mire. And P-Train's going to be checking the powder. He lumps this together with the Breadsmith chain, which is great lumping things together in your routing. He's going to get a piece of heart for this, so he's not going to get anything groundbreaking. We already saw this from Willard. What goes through your mind while you're waiting for this cutscene that Willard's going through?
Well, I mean, he's probably thinking, like, I hope this is it. Like, whatever, you know, hopefully this is the play. I'm making the right play here. You know, you've got a little time to think about that kind of stuff.
There's the ether for P-Train. There's 10 arrows for Willard. So now the question is it a green pendant? And P-Train's floating to 6, so he's going into Misery Mire as well. What a game 1 between these two.
This is pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
There's a big key. Willard is gonna go now and face off against Vitreous. Is P-Train gonna go for the memes, by the way? We do have a chance for that bird.
Please do it.
He's not going to do it.
The man is all business.
You have to be when you're dealing with the situation that P-Train has. Just a reminder, P-Train has not won a game 1 in this whole tournament.
This is true. And he is, if he keeps following Willard, he's not going to find a way ahead. And I mean, at this point, unless, you know, I mean, this seed feels like it's going to be extremely linear through the end part of the game. So, like, whatever they find next, it's going to be, you know, one thing after another here. I don't know if he's going to have opportunities to really make up a ton of time.
Willard with only 2 bombs, and this would have been a nice number of bombs to have, and Willard does not have the spooky action glitch going for him either, so he's gonna have to spend a bomb here, putting him down to 1. Now don't forget, Willard does have a fairy in a bottle, so he can use that if he needs to keep himself alive here, but this is going to be a very stressful fight coming up for Willard with the fighter's sword, because he never got this sword off Agina. As he pulls out the hammer.
I'm really excited to see this fight. I think Willard can pull it off, like, pretty smoothly, so I'm looking forward to some good skill here.
Going into the goop just a little bit here. Doesn't get hit over here. Trying to get himself a nice safe position. Does get tackled by the eyes once, down to 6 hearts remaining, so he can take 2 more safe hits against these eyes. But once again, once he does have the fairy in a bottle, that is definitely going to help him out. That was close to that lightning. He was just pixels away from getting hit with that lightning. Ooh, gets hit there, down to 3 hearts. Trying to avoid everything he can, hopefully trying to save that fairy, as P-Train is going to full clear this first section of the dungeon, because both items were on the fire blocked side of this dungeon. And P-Train is going straight to Vitreous. Willard down to 3 eyes, pulls out the hammer once again. Now P-Train with 10 bombs, he's gonna spend 1 downstairs, and therefore we'll have 9 bombs to throw into the goop there with the eyeballs. That will help him out.
Yeah, it'll definitely help soften the eyeballs up here.
plus, of course, having the Master Sword, so if he does his spins, he can get the tempered damage. Willard is done with the first section of this fight. Now it's just avoid the eyeball and hit him with the hammer as much as you can. 5 and 6. Oh, missed him. There's the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Over to the corner here, 15, 16. There it is. Good job, Willard. Gets the compass for his efforts, but more importantly, the green pendant.
Man, that took a while.
Fairy in a bottle. Meanwhile, P-Train about to go into this fight. He has not checked the left-hand side. So, does P-Train escape with just the green pendant? He may gain some time on Willard, but we'll see how this goes. And P-Train pulling out his magic cape, and he's just going to go to town with his eyes, and he's going to continue to swing the sword. That slows down the run timer of the magic cape. Look at this here for P-Train. Got him all together, which is going to help him out too. Spin around, 2 hits right there. 2 swings. Another double. Well, they're delaying the inevitable with the green pendant. Nice double spins again there for P-Train. Gets tackled just a little bit. Our container green pendant. Where's this progression? It's got to be Eastern or Palace of Darkness at this point.
All right, so P-Train pulling out Fire Rod there. He's going to head back into the dungeon and check out that Firelock side, so he's not going to gain any time here. Really good fight, though. I mean, you can see that sword difference really coming in handy here. He got through that in no time flat.
So now he's going to check the left-hand side. That's where the 2 items are going to be. Not something that P-Train needs, as we saw from Willard. At the 59-minute mark, nearing in 1 hour on this game number 1 between these 2 runners in the round of 32. If you're liking what you're seeing, be sure to follow both of these runners. Exclamation point R to find out their Twitch handles. Both of these veterans of the randomizer. We've seen Willard since the first tournament. Map in the first or the second chest of this Eastern Palace. I think the big key was in that first chest, wasn't it?
Yes, I think so.
While we're shouting people out, be sure to also give some thanks to Iceman_F1 for doing the buttons, clicking the buttons, and making the items appear as our runners are finding them here on our screen. Like instance, there's the bow in Eastern.
Cool. Awesome. I mean, it pretty much had to be here. Like, if it was the hook shot in here, like, that'd be pretty crappy, because then we'd have to go East Death Mountain looking for it. So, I mean, it's great. It's cool that it's here.
Willard is heading over towards the back area of this Eastern as B-Train is about to join him as well.
I mean, the thing that's kind of funny about this is both runners are, unless they know that this is like their go-to move here to completely abandon Eastern and Pod, they're going to feel a little bit behind. Little do they know they're in great shape. Although, P-Train, where are you going, dude? Oh my goodness. Stop it. Stop it, P-Train.
He's doing the purple chest.
So he's gone... He has gone to check the back of Saha's hut and then abandon the area. And then he fluted back there to go turn in the green pendant, and now he's abandoning it again. I just don't know what he's doing. Like,
You sound maddened by what he is doing at this point in time.
It's
if he
crazy,
pulls
man.
out something that is spectacular, maybe it is going to be a move that pays off for him. As he does the save and quit with the purple chest, as Willard is making his way here towards the back section of Eastern. Of course, his next play after this is to go into Palace of Darkness. Loot to 7. We'll see what's in the purple chest, as Willard has already found all 3 of the items. See how he does with the Armos, and he does have the perfect setup at this point. As P-Train getting, that's the other sword! We now know where all 4 of the swords are, and I don't know if Willard's going to be getting one of them.
You know, I mean, like, this is actually terrible for Willard. Both of those locations are complete garbage. And he knows the ones at Aga or at the Lumberjack or whatever. He's probably going to go do GT with the fighter's sword. Like, this could be P-Train's race here no matter what happens.
That could be a move that will give P-Train some life in this race. The fact that he just spent that extra time doing the purple chest. Now, we have mentioned in many a race before the difference between Master Sword and the Tempered Sword, but this is a weirder case in the fact that the 2 swords that Willard's missing is purple chest and Agena.
Those are such garbage locations that he's definitely orphaned, you know? Like, that sucks so much.
And he knows that a sword is at Lumberjack. Here's a question. Here's a really bizarre question. If Willard does not find the sword through his normal progressions here, and he, of course, comes up empty in GT, does he do Aghanim 1?
That'd be pretty wild. If he did that, and then he'd be able to just drop down into the Ganon fight more or less afterwards. I don't know, that seems pretty... He'd probably clear some other stuff before doing that. But it'd be pretty nuts.
And we have an immediate bull block here inside of this Palace of Darkness. Now, just as a note here for Willard, hopefully he does note that he is down to 3 arrows at this point. So obviously he's going to want to take care of the red mimic first, because you can sword down the other 2. Now, there are drops in here as long as you don't get that drop, and there's Willard losing the drop. There he goes. He picks up the 5 arrows. He is fine. But he did lose a couple of seconds there with the, oh, shoot, I'm out of arrows movement. What a fun game 1 it is between these 2 runners. Definitely glad to have you on the call with me for this one, Sabatender.
Yeah, buddy. You betcha. This is fun. I'm shocked at some of the decisions we've seen, but it's been an exciting, fun race to watch. I mean, we're not even close to done yet, man. There's still so much excitement left to happen.
We're still missing 2 major components here for the Swamp Palace play. We need to find the hookshot. We need to find the mirror. One of those 2 will get us access to the right-hand side of Death Mountain, which is crazy. At the hour 5 mark, we don't have access to that just yet.
Yeah, that one of those hasn't popped up, and our runners have done literally everything on the map. Is crazy. Alrighty, so somewhere in the back here, we're gonna have to find one of those 2 items. Willard is heading for the kind of like densest part of the dungeon when it comes to your potential to find items. So we'll soon find out if it's gonna be hook or mirror at this point.
And we know that Willard's gonna be finding at least 4 items in this back section. After finding the compass and the big key be the 2 small keys in the first section of this Palace of Darkness, as he gets himself lined up trying to do the hammer jump. And he feels good about it, and he gets a red rupee for his troubles. Not sure what that move was about. Maybe it was just a mispress for Willard. There's the mirror.
Excellent.
There's a bottle. That's item number 3 of this Palace of Darkness. 5 items inside.
I mean, the thing is, like, feels like now that you've got that mirror, Hookshot's not going to be in here, but you can't possibly leave any of the chests at this point. You'd like to, but you just can't.
Item number 4, item number 5. Willard knows that that's it for this dungeon, and we'll go back to the front of this dungeon. So the hookshot is not here, but the mirror opens up a lot of possibilities. And it could very well be another vanilla item. You know vanilla I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. I can't even imagine dipping into swamp at this point.
Now with the weight of the items inside Death Mountain. You also have the Tower of Hera. Now we know the pedestal is dead. Or at least in Willard's eyes, it's dead. P-Train never checked the, see what's the inscription, but you know you're gonna probably head to the mountain after you're done with this.
You absolutely have to. It'd be some pretty galaxy brain stuff to not go for the mountain when you got all of it unlocked and ready to go. So yeah, you really have to.
Here's something else spicy, by the way, and just seeing some comments here in chat made me think of this. What if the hookshot's on a tablet?
Oh my gosh. No.
You can say no all you want, but that idea has just crossed my mind, and that is evil. Nice fire rod stress for Willard.
I mean, like the ultimate, like Bombo's tablet for hookshot would be fantastic.
Could even be either.
Who's going to make that play? Yeah, but I mean, the Bombos one, you're right there. You can jump right into swamp afterwards. And then you do Turtle Rock as your last crystal. It's perfect. But man, that'd be some play to go for that first.
Willard using the hammer strats on this Helmastar because Fighter Sword does not work, at least in the swing sense. He's got to do he's got to do the roll technique there. Does finish off against the Helmastar fight, gets the map for his efforts. P-Train setting up for the bomb jump, and there's the crystal for Willard. We know one place the hookshot cannot be. Well, make it 2, because there's 3 chests inside of Hookshot Cave where it can't be either, but it can't be on the Pyramid Fairy.
This is true. All right, Willard fluting away here. Where's he going? He's going to the mountain. You know it.
Of course he is. Because there's so many items that you can get up here. You've got the 7 in Paradox Cave. You got Spiral Cave. You've got the access to the 2 items in Tower of Hera. You got the 2 in Super Bunny. You've got the 1 you can bonk into in Hookshot Cave. And you've got the ledge. And of course, with all 3 medallions, we have access to the 5 items in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, there's a lot up here to check.
Oh boy, here we go. Willard, inscription: no matter what you do, blue will return to you. That is the blue boomerang.
Oh, that's a shame.
big key for Willard. Now we'll check downstairs. Pendant Tower of Hera, a map downstairs. And Willard has had enough. He's got absolute no interest checking this at this point, but he may be back after the checks of the East Death Mountain. Hey, there's the hook shot!
Wow. I mean, that's a great location because you don't have to check anything else on the mountain. It's right there for you.
But Willard, with one sword in his arsenal, may opt to check it still.
Yeah, he might.
The big question is, does Willard do Aghanim 1?
It is the only sword that he knows where it is.
Willard has the mirror out already, although he can't just go right straight for the mirror at this point. He's going to pull out the bombs first.
You know, interesting thought here. Seeing it a little bit in chat here. Knowing that that sword is on Aga, or on Lumberjack, I guess, through Aga, do you just like go mode everything that you have left and also go mode GT and then just go get that sword? It might even equal out time-wise as opposed to like clearing the basement of GT.
It might, but the question is what is going to be the difference here? Because P-Train, he is not heading for the mountain just yet.
No, he's not. Also, Willard doesn't have the cape, so he can't even get into Aga at this point. Cape hanging out there on Catfish, another dumb location that he's abandoned. Like, so he's super stuck here.
That's right. You are right. He doesn't even have access to Aga 1 at this point because he doesn't have the cape. As P-Train is going to get confirmation that this hook shot that he's looking for is not on the pedestal.
Why? Oh, P-Train. Why, man? You've got the whole mountain open now. Why are you checking this?
Because he got Tower of Hera open to him, and he wants to know whether or not he's got to dig the Tower of Hera. P-Train is going to go check checkerboard.
I mean, oh.
People wondering why Aga 1 is important to seed, because we know that there is a sword on the Lumberjack, and Willard still has Fighter's Sword. He cannot do any damage against Ganon with that Fighter Sword. He needs to have a Master Sword level or higher in order to do that damage. And he doesn't know where the other two swords are. They're at Agina and Purple Chest as P-Train's going up the mountain. And gets dead rocked.
Good. P-Train. Oh my god. No way, again?
And he gets dead rocked again!
Okay, that's too far. I'm sorry, P-Train. I take it back.
I think at this point, we're going to see P-Train feasting on Dead Rock Soup after he is done with this seed. And probably wondering how he pulled this race out of his fanny after full clearing Misery Mire for no reason.
Yeah, this is turning into quite a race here. I'm really excited to see just what Willard does in this position. Like, if he decides to just go mode everything, looking for maybe, you know, I don't know. I don't know how he's going to play this with only the Fighter's Sword.
And no cape either. That's the big thing. Without that cape. This is a weird race. A really, really weird race.
Sure is.
As we get to see Odie once again, the bunny sprite of Garfield, as P-Train makes his way over towards the right-hand side, so he did exactly the same thing that we saw from Willard. And he will soon find his goal for this game coming up in just a moment as Willard is inside of this Turtle Rock. And there's the hook shot for P-Train.
So you'll notice that Willard has skipped out on the Lava Island chest already. So I'm thinking he's looking at go moding most things. Like that location seemed like one he wanted to definitely skip. So he might be doing a little selective go moding here.
It's a possibility that he may be doing that in the anticipation of... Actually, I don't know what he's thinking at this point, because I thought he was going to just do that just because he didn't want to spend that key. As P-Train opens up the portal for Turtle Rock, Willard making his way into the Crystal Roller Room.
Yeah, you see, he also skipped like Mimic Cave, so he's not interested in wasting like that long on a check. But if it's kind of like, hey, there's a chest right there, he's grabbing them. So I can see what he's doing here.
Yeah, this is interesting, the way that Willard is attacking this seed. But Willard is not in go mode because he is lacking a sword, which is why at 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 15 seconds, P-Train, the first of these two runners, into
what, Rick?
go mode.
Yo, that's hype.
P-Train heading into Swamp as Willard is doing Laser Bridge and falling down and getting bullied. That's rude, the fact that he lost 2 hearts to that fall. As P-Train goes into Swamp Palace, does P-Train check anything in search of maybe silvers inside of the swamp outside of maybe Waterfall chest?
I think it's just Waterfall for P-Train, maybe. He might even just skip that.
Willard down to 3 hearts, but he does have the fairy in a bottle. As Willard will start with the ice rod, he'll pull out the hammer, get the 3 hits on this first section, and then try to get the final 2 hits in the second section. Switches over the fire rod. Good knowledge of where he was. He's got to wait out this timer, and that's patience there by Willard to make sure that he didn't lose a bunch of time while the transition's going, but he doesn't want to lose all of his magic, because then he would have to float all the way back to the early section of Turtle Rock. Oh, that ice rod there, that ice head, I thought it was going to move. I was worried because that was going to be his last fire rod shot. So he did get that off, and he did beat the ice head. So now it's just 5 hammer hits to this Trinex, and Willard is going to be done with this Turtle Rock. That is a really good fight here for WillardJBradley, given the circumstance.
Yeah, really nice hammer fight there. So I think what we'll see from Willard, I mean, P-Train, he might even skip Waterfall chest as well. I'm sure he's feeling pretty good. At least, well, doesn't have time. He might be even thinking he's behind and doesn't have time to check anything. Willard might check the sunken room or whatever it is, or the submerged room down in the back half there.
Willard is not even checking Paradox, so Willard is on a journey here. An interesting journey here for Willard.
Yeah, I mean, he is banking on just stumbling across a sword while he's looking for the GT big key. That really feels like what it is.
And no waterfall check here for P-Train, as you were mentioning.
Yeah, for someone like P, like the silvers aren't going to make up that much time, and so I mean, that's a really convenient quick chest to check. But he's definitely just like focused on the goal at this point.
So, just a reminder, this is game 1 of a best of 3, and here's P-Train just going to town against Argus, gets all but 3 of the puffs down in the first cycle, down to 2 puffs, there's the 1 remaining, and now we're into stage number 2. And there is the sword swing for P-Train, down with Argus, gets 50 rupees for his efforts. And there's Willard with the bombs out, so he is going to check chest here.
Okay.
But P-Train in the driver's seat at this point, heading into Turtle Rock, fluting to 1, as WillardJBradley making his way. Now, you know who you're up against. You know you're up against 2 veterans of Link to the Past Randomizer. Your opponent has been a very skilled runner, has dominated some races, has really good NMG skills, and you can say that for either of these 2 runners, you have no time to waste.
Yeah, especially when you know, both runners are in the same boat because they put off those Eastern you know, light world checks, dark world checks that led to the bow there in Eastern Palace. So, you know, seeing that, and because everything else was kind of pretty generous, you can see how it would have been a pretty free seed. And you're probably thinking like, man, I'm behind at this point.
And it's an interesting feeling at this point. Like, these both had gotten the bow super late into the seed. So you don't know how you're feeling when you get the bow that late, especially after you dug all of Misery Mire to come up empty. Willard checking here at the bottom 2, gets himself a map and the big key, because why not? Here's the waterfall chest, and that is a piece of heart. Wouldn't that have been something if that was the silvers?
It really would have been something, because that's like the one chest you can check in Swamp and not feel bad about when you're in go mode. Would have been pretty impressive. Although I guess like for P-Train here, he's going through Turtle Rock, a dungeon that you usually have to kind of look around to try and find keys for. He's probably thinking, I'll just check TR to see if the silvers are in there. Swamp is one of those ones like I want to get through it as fast as I can, and you can if you skip everything.
Well, they're going to the spin strats here, and this is a pretty decent fight for Fighter Sword. Say what you want about Willard's chances to win this race at this point, but my goodness, he is definitely showing off some skill with that Fighter Sword.
Yeah, it is not easy to get those spins off. Sometimes the little puffs can like eat the sword, kind of stop your spin before it gets charged up there. So yeah, really impressive.
And you notice that Willard, oh wow, that was just annihilating him with the ice rod. 4 ice rod beams just like that, and Argus is down for Willard. So Willard is done with his 7th crystal. P-Train still has half of this Turtle Rock to do. Yeah,
I mean, is it time to start a little guessing game? It seems like Willard's probably going to make it to GT before P-Train.
That is correct. Sabatender, take it away.
Alrighty, so there are 22 chests in Ganon's Tower where our Ganon's Tower big key can be. So 1 through 22, put your numbers in the chat there. We've got a bot that is keeping track of all of your guesses, and you get a spot on the leaderboard if you're correct. Rick, what do you think? Where's this one going to be today?
Number 5.
Number 5. Okay. Nice, quick, easy GT for, well, one of our runners. If it is chest 5, I'm sure Willard's going to keep looking around. Well, he might not. I don't know. I have no idea what he's going to do. I'm going to say chest 11. I like 11.
11, spicy. All right. We'll go ahead and close things off as soon as Willard does enter Ganon's tower to prep himself for the first check, as P-Train with the key in hand has no reason to check Laser Bridge, and we might see Willard check a few more chests on his way through here to prolong this adventure. Willard has the mirror out. That may just be for the deletion of the blocks. Is he going to check Paradox after this?
Wow, that would be interesting, yeah.
Here's a quick attempt to kill Trinex for P-Train. No, Willard is going straight for Ganon's tower, so we will keep track based on Willard's checks of the chests. Here we go, friends. Ganon's tower for Willard at 1 hour 28:01. And there's Willard going inside. So let's go ahead and cut off the Ganon's tower big key guessing game, as Willard will go and see what's on the torch. And on the torch, we have ourselves a small key. $47 points will go to the winner. That is. Here we go. Chest number 2 is 20 rupees, 50 rupees. We get ourselves the map, and we're going to get ourselves the key, and Willard will pull out the mirror and pull the Dark Magician strats on us here. He'll go ahead and check the whole room. So even if P-Train finds the big key before Willard does, we will keep track based on Willard's count. 6, small key. 7 is a bloopy. Willard, the crazy man, checking tile room.
Wow, how about that?
As P-Train will run right by him to check the compass room first. So Willard is on chest number 7. When he does check this, this will be number 8. And it's a small key. So bombs. Bottom right. Silvers! And 10 arrows. Big keys not here on the right-hand side. So good news, Willard will get silvers. Bad news, he's not getting a sword. Not in this dungeon. So this will be check number 8, or rather 9, 10, 11, and 12 for Willard. He pulls out the mirror, and he's now going to go and check the left-hand side. Number 13 will be our next check. If you're watching this here, you're seeing these two in Ganon's Tower, you're thinking, what a great race this is, and this has been a fantastic race. You're thinking, this is going to be a close finish. Don't forget, Willard does not have 2 swords that P-Train does, and they're both on overworld locations. What number is this?
13?
Number
13.
13. 10 arrows. 14 will be the next check in the fire snake room.
Yeah, just a little unfortunate with the item locations today for Willard. The swords were in spots that he orphaned pretty hard. And these are locations that, I understand why, he decided to put them off. They're kind of one-offs. They're kind of in weird locations. You don't really want to, waste your time going for them. It just turns out there's no other sword for him to collect along the way.
14, 10 arrows. Numbers 15, 16, 17, 18 coming up here for Willard. This is going to be a fun side-by-side claim of the gauntlet. We get ourselves a fairy in a bottle. There's the big key. That's number 16 for Willard. And he's continuing to the Armos.
Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, he made the call here to go mow the dungeons, but now that he's here in GT, he not seen a sword yet, having cleared out so much of the game, you got to assume that one of them is hanging around here. So I totally understand why he's doing this.
Yep, unfortunately for us, we know that Willard is not going to find a sword at all, because we know where all 4 swords were in this seed. One was the Sea House. That's the one that Willard got. That was a weird bonk and fall there for Willard. I've never seen that before. Agina had sword number 2. P-Train found that relatively early. Purple Chest had sword number 3, and the 4th sword that neither of these runners are going to get was on Aghanim. Now, if Willard could find the cape, then he would know that he could go to Aghanim after he's done with this, but the problem is, you see the cape is in P-Train's inventory. It was on Catfish. That's another spot that Willard's not getting to.
I mean, these are literally the 3 locations that Willard has skipped, like, all seed, and every single one of them would have helped him out, and it's just such a shame.
And they're out of the way locations at this point on the overworld. That's the biggest problem for all right now. P-Train down to 1 heart. He does have the fairy in a bottle that he just picked up, so he's not in a emergency crisis at this point in time. Willard did get the big chest inside of this dungeon. It was 10 arrows. It's a very rare check that we actually get to see, is that big chest here in GT. Half a heart remaining. Nice dodge there with P-Train, but it's going to allow him to miss the silver arrow, and it's going to be now 1 cycle ammo. Gets hit by the rock. He has the fairy in the bottle.
Alrighty, he has been revived. He's ready to keep going up the gauntlet here.
Willard using the fairy right now, as opposed to losing the animation time, as P-Train now gets himself onto the 5th floor. Nice magic drop there for Willard. It will allow him maybe to go ahead and use some fire rod strats as he goes up this tower. This is game number 1 of the best of 3 series, round 32. So Willard, if he loses this race, he is not out just yet. He'll have the opportunity to make a difference with round number 2. And how much are you willing to bet he might do a Surge Sword in game 2, Sabatender?
After this nightmare, yeah, I think odds are very good.
Nice kill right there for Willard. Getting ready to face off against the Lammo. The Lammo. He's going to have to be careful if he does use the magic powder to replenish his life. As P-Train now up on the 6th floor, getting ready to face off against Moldorm 2.
Unfortunately, Willard getting bullied a bit by the Lammo here. Arrows just aren't quite landing.
Yeah, the part of the problem here, as we see P-Train getting ready to hover this gap, is that Willard, with the use of the magic powder, got the Lambos to spawn at the same time as opposed to one after another, and I think that probably hurt him keep things going right now. It's P-Train getting ready to face off against Aga 2, and we mentioned this a couple of times during this first game. If this continues, will lead to the first Game 1 win that we've seen for P-Train in this tournament.
Yeah, it's definitely a good position to be in, so I'm sure he'd be really stoked if this result kind of holds here. Then he'll be, yeah, 1 up.
Nice finish there to the Aga fight for P-Train. So now tempered sword, silver arrows, and a no, he doesn't have the fairy in the bottle anymore. I was going to say a fairy in the bottle, but that's not going to be the case here. P-Train getting ready to face off against the Ganon fight at 1 hour 37:25. And after full clearing Misery Mark, he might be going, how is Willard not done yet?
I know that's exactly what I would be thinking. Although, I mean, maybe at this point, he's probably now thinking that Willard did exactly the same thing that I did.
Well, we'll find out what P-Train thinks in about 3 minutes from now as he does the Ganon fight. Gets him in the perfect spot to get some spins on him and gets him into Cycle 2 already. That's a great Cycle 1 for P-Train. Doing a couple spins while the bats are spinning around. And now, Willard's going to be having a very big panic attack. He knows that there is no sword and no cape in this Ganon's tower. Here is number 3 here for P-Train. Phase number 3 gets him to jump up and down. Silver's my one true weakness. Gets a couple of hits here already. Does not get the torch glitch, but waits the perfect time. Gets him to the corner. 1, 2, and no, can't get the triple, but there's the final silver arrow, and P-Train will claim game number 1 as Willard finishes off with the Aga 2 fight. Get your GGs in the chat here for P-Train.
Oh boy, what a race.
And P-Train finishing official SRL time 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 5 seconds.
So it looks like we've got P-Train waiting in the lobby there. Should we bring him on in, Rick?
Well, we're going to go ahead and bring him in just a few moments, but we're going to also tease some of the races we got coming up here in the Link to the Past Randomizer tournament tonight here on Speed Gaming. Right now, over on Speed Gaming 4, we have Goomba versus McLagan. Over on Speed Gaming 5, just underway 14 minutes ago, we have Jet versus Trinex. Coming up later tonight at 11:50, we've got the match between Gamachu and Ak the Boker. That should be a lot of fun here on Speed Gaming tonight. Let's go ahead and get P-Train in here, and we can talk to him about this Game 1 win.
Hey there, P-Train. GG's, buddy.
Hello, GG.
Alrighty, so,
Yeah, you can go ahead and start this one off, Sabatender. Good job, P-Train, on game 1.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So, well, like, holding off on the east side of everything there, was that the strategy going in? And did you at any point think that you were a little bit behind?
So there was a couple things going through my mind. The first one being I got really early access to Spike Cave, like for this scene. Started off with like Dark World access in Kakariko, which was already kind of I almost thought it was going to be a really quick scene. Got super early access to Spike Cave. When I got the Dark World, I saw that Thieves Town was a pendant. So I opted to do a few extra overworld checks before hitting the Village of Outcasts because I wanted a better gauge on whether or not to clear pendant Thieves Town. So I had done all of the overworld checks. There wasn't anything. I found Fire Rod. Fire Rod only unlocked one location for me at that time. So to me, that wasn't good enough to leave. So then I found Flute, and I thought, man, if Willard skips this, it could be big. So I followed that Flute. Man, I was loyal to that Flute, and it let me down bad. So a lot of the decisions I made had to do with that early Flute, particularly putting off Pod and Eastern. Whenever I got the Ether Medallion and I knew that was for Pendant Mire, I was like, oh, this has to be it. Like, this has to be something. No, there was absolutely nothing behind the entire Flute. So yeah, that was unfortunate. Even when I found Mirror and Pod, I still went to check Checkerboard before doing the item dense Death Mountain. You know, I knew I had a crystal dungeon up there. Just still hoping that Flute was going to pay off.
So let's talk about a couple of your decisions, because they were really important decisions in the end, because I'm sure by now you've seen what's going on with Willard. What made you decide? Obviously, again, was one of those checks where you're doing desert, you're going to check him. What led you to do Purple Chest?
Purple Chest? Because, I don't know, I was mentioning this earlier actually in Sabo's stream, that whenever I make plays, in my head, I'm telling myself, like, what statement am I making with this play? So all throughout the seed, I was kind of gambling that there's not a bow in Eastern or Pod. Or there's not progression. Like, I'm going to be able to go to Eastern or Pod with the bow, I believe. So I gambled on Ether being progression, Ether plus the Flute being progression. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. So then I had an Orphan Purple Chest, and I was asking myself, is it really worth it to completely forsake the Purple Chest just to do Pod and Eastern without a bow? And at that point, I felt like I was so invested already in skipping Pod and Eastern. What's one more check? And also at that point, I'd already cleared a Useless Mire, so I thought I was going to lose anyways. So I'm like, hey, let's just gamble that maybe we can do one trip into the Pod Eastern area.
So, naturally, once we found the Purple Chest with that sword, it was kind of a question mark, would Willard get to one of those locations? And that was obviously the big difference. It was a really close affair in GT, although it wasn't a close affair in GT, if you know what we mean.
Yeah, I've actually been watching Barry's stream. Honestly, like, my hope as I was climbing GT, again, like, trying not to get my hopes up, because I'm looking at my tracker, like, the only thing I haven't done is what was locked behind, you know, the mirror in Pod. Like, I full cleared the entire map. So I thought my only hope was either, number one, Willard did the same thing as I did, except I out-executed him, or number two, Ether was his go mode, because maybe he put off the Smith chain, because if he did an early Eastern and an early Pod, he got that mirror and bow, but maybe put off the Smith chain, and if he got Ether as his go mode, I knew he was guaranteed to finish with Master Sword. So maybe I get an advantage off of that. Like, that's what was going through my head climbing GT. Like, trying to come up with the scenarios where I might still be in the lead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, game number one, you've had some issues with game number one in this entire tournament. How does it feel to actually go into a game two with a 1-0 series lead?
It feels really nice. When I was in the group stage, like Divisigns, my first, I'm using air quotes here, but my first seed was technically a hover seed, except for he god routed in the hook shot. and beat me by a few seconds. Like I think it was like a 7-second victory. And then Etium beat me with progression buried in appended dungeons. It's kind of nice, even though this seed maybe didn't go the way I wanted it to, because it could have been a really, really quick seed. It still feels good to go into game 2 and it not be an elimination game for me.
Yeah, man. And through the magic of technology, we've also been joined by WillardJBradley. GG's, man. Tough break.
Yeah, I wanted to come in here early because let me tell you, I finished about 20 minutes after P-Train, and I don't want to make you guys watch me go do Aga Tower eventually. So, yeah.
Oh, it came to that, huh? Oh,
the blue balls.
I don't care. I'm sorry. I won't allow it. This stream will not show the rest of me finishing the seed. I forbid it.
Yeah. I mean, dude, like watching your early game, it was so on point. I was all over it. I thought it was amazing. And then like we saw those sword locations and we saw that you had skipped those sword locations. And I'm like, dude's orphaned those. That's rough.
Yep. Yeah, I was feeling pretty good until up until the Meyer play, and then I was kind of sweating, and that's when I started feeling behind. So I had to start making sillier plays and cutting corners. And you'd think after having swamped T-Rock and all of GT, you'd be bound to find at least one sword, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, we knew by then where all the swords were located, and you weren't getting one of them.
God, that had to have been horrible to watch. I'm so sorry.
Well, it made for an interesting GT because you guys were side by side, almost.
I mean, it could have worked out a little bit better if, I don't know, if like the hook shot was just in a little bit of a sillier spot. I don't know. At that point, it was pretty linear, so there wasn't really anywhere for it to be that could kind of like hide from P-Train.
Yeah,
but
I was very close to diving swamp looking for hook shot at that point because I felt so far behind. I was like, well, T-Rock's still pretty slow, and I'm more than likely gonna full clear it anyway. So, and then I saw hook shot up there, and I was like, okay, well, it's over for me unless P-Train's go mode item was ether.
You're literally quoting my thoughts.
Yep.
and the interesting thing here was that both of you did about the same things, and for a while there, Willard, you had the lead as far as where both of you were inside of the dungeons. You both made the Meyer play. You both put off going into Eastern and then the Palace of Darkness once you finally got the bow in Eastern. So for a while there, it was interesting. It's just unfortunate because once P-Train found the final sword upgrade that we knew of in the purple chest, you weren't getting that. And then you walked by Agina, we knew you weren't getting that. And of course, Kate being at Catfish, that was just the nail on the coffin at that point. The fact that hookshot was so freely available up on the mountain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to check Agnes Cave after finishing Desert, but I was more keen on just going straight to the Meyer area and checking that stuff because I was like, I probably have the medallion to do Meyer right now, and I really wanted to do it. And I knew because like checking Agna, you'd have to run in, bomb it, and then run back. And it's one spot. The odds of it being a sword were pretty low. It just was unfortunate.
Yeah, I really didn't appreciate the bow in Eastern either because, like, when I got Dark World access immediately in Kakariko, I try not to let that affect my decision making too much because if you think about it, if you got like Hammer in Kakariko, Pearl in Hyrule Castle, and then like I don't know, Glove on South Shore, you wouldn't think much about it. But when you get them back to back to back in Kakariko, sometimes it's like, oh wow, I have immediate Dark World access. What should I do with this? I opted just to do my usual checks. Like no, let's just be thorough. Let's clear Sphere 1. Did South Shore for absolutely nothing that I can remember. Fake flipper to Waterfall Cave, Bobo. Absolutely nothing. Did all of Escape. Absolutely nothing. And I'm like, well, screw Sphere 1. Let's go into the Dark World. And the very first item I find is boots. So I'm like, oh, okay, well.
That hurt to see those there because I did the opposite because I went right in and did Thieves Town, full cleared it, and then I full cleared Skullwoods, and then finally went and did I think I did Back of Escape after that, and then finally did Hype Cave and got boots. I was like, well, 23-minute boots isn't that bad, but still pretty bad.
Yeah, the only thing that was unfortunate about your boots was the fact that you ended up already going into desert, pulling out the
that sucked.
powder, and then having to go back in. But I will say that you had some fantastic efforts against some of these bosses with the fighter sword.
Dude, Vitreous was terrifying. Holy cow.
That was a really clinch fight there for us.
I had a fairy, so I wasn't worried, but it was still like, especially after getting the heart container from Sahasrara, I was like, wow, that was a really slow wasted time.
See, I felt the same way, but I did Master Sword Vitreous. So I was like, oh,
wow,
great.
Must have been real nice.
This guy probably did the Smith chain first.
I'm so happy for you.
Or you had the bow in Eastern. I was like, man.
Yeah, and then it was like, wow, it would have been. I was really hoping to find hookshot or bow or something in Meyer, and after finding both items, I was like, I have to commit to this because, you never know. But I was like sweating the whole time on my way to Vitreous. But yeah, it kind of hurts, passing by a sword 3 times at this point. The first time into desert, second time into desert, and then after all things considered, then skipping it after checkerboard. By that time, I'd already forgotten it existed. So.
I checked it. I checked it with a dam very early in the game.
Yeah, see, that's smart, but 6-minute Darkhold access, it's really hard to route that. It's like playing inverted. It sucks.
Yeah, we were mentioning that at the very beginning, was that this seed gave you so many options, so there was a lot of luck that came into play as a result. Gotta give you a lot of credit there for your fight against Mothula there. Using every ounce of the fire rod to get yourself through that fight. That was a really great fight as well.
Thank you. The magic drop was very convenient.
Oh yeah,
happened in my practice seed before this as well. I got a free full magic drop right at the end. I was like, oh, cool, because I was doing basically the same settings. But yeah, I don't know if there's really much else I gotta say other than GG's. I'm just gonna do standard for next round because.
Yeah,
so
maybe I can see why. Yeah.
Actually,
we get ourselves a. Okay, well, Willard has not etched this into stone yet. We'll give him a few seconds while we ask people how many blue balls he's gonna face against the Zaga.
No, turn it off. Also, I think it was. I think it was 3. 2 or 3.
Spoilers!
I don't care. I will say,
put 3s in the chat there, okay? Everyone can be a winner on this guessing game.
My Ganon fight was good though. I was happy about that. Most of my, other than the Vitreous fight, most of my boss fights, I was really quite happy with. So.
Even Vitreous, the fact that you stayed out of damage as much as you did, I gotta give you a lot of compliments on that fight.
I mean,
and even your Argus fight was really, really good given the fighter sword.
I got the quad ice thingy, so I was happy about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a real great finish too.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I don't really know how to prepare for next round other than hope I don't get randoed. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Maybe
best of luck, dude.
Dark Road access.
Please, for the love of goodness, no, never again. I'm not a big fan of early Dark World access. It just always, because I'm like, there's gonna be something in Eastern or Pod, and I'm gonna put it off for an hour, and lo and behold. But yeah, the one thing I need to remember is that it's never over till it's over, and I always sell myself short or just kind of write myself off. So even after finishing GT and landing on the pyramid and not seeing the dot done yet, I was like, okay. Maybe there's a chance. I don't know why I went for Pyramid Fairy first, but I was kind of freaking out at that point. So
yeah.
But yeah, GG's
cool.
to you and good luck to you in game number 2. It was a fantastic run. It was unfortunate the swords did to you what they did to you, but you definitely showed a lot of skills here. And game 2 should be really, really entertaining between you two. Have you guys set a time for that yet?
Nope. Not yet.
So stay tuned to the schedule and find out when these two are going to schedule this match here.
So yeah, P-Train, any final thoughts on how this seed went for you?
No, I mean, like I said, it's unfortunate that the flute let me down, but I felt like I executed really well. Felt like I routed well, given the information I had available to me at the time.
I'm gonna rip on you for putting off all of that Eastern stuff. We were talking about pod, and you didn't go there, and you flew to the area a couple times, and then you backed out. But I think it did in the end kind of work out for you. So I'll cut you some slack, I guess.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. GG Willard. I'm looking forward to game 2.
Yeah, should be fun. Thank you guys for commentating and
Yeah,
tracking and running all this stuff.
Absolutely. I saw this match on the schedule. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And then I said, Sabbatender, you busy at this point? And he said, yeah, let's do it. And here we are.
Man, imagine if I made you guys wait 20 minutes to then come in for the interview.
It would have been awful, dude.
It's okay. We got Super Mario Sunshine Bingo coming up at 9:30 p.m. Eastern here on twitch.tv/Speed Gaming. So we got plenty of time. Kill this pig for us.
I'm working on it. I'm just glad I got to do some Mario strats. Those are always fun, even if they're super laggy.
It's amazing that you're able to coordinate doing all this while talking to us. You're very talented.
Yeah, sometimes.
I guess that's one of the lessons they teach him in acting school.
You could say that.
I did say that.
You could say it. You could even say it again, but don't do it. Don't do it.
Where was the half magic?
That was in Paradox Cave.
Yum.
Ah.
Yeah, I really never wanted to go there because I was like, if there's a sword there, then it's over. I was trying to avoid that entirely, but yeah, I honestly, someone asked like why I would go do Aga 1 at the end of the seed, but I had already known I'd lost, so it didn't really. My decision making at the end after P-Train finished was just kind of like whatever. I'll just go straight to the. I'll do what I can, I guess.
Let me figure out the mystery of the seed.
Man, really? Agnes Cave and Purple Chest? Those are two awful spots. And I was just right there. Could have had it.
I was just sold on the fact that Pod and Eastern had nothing. And I was just hoping. But yeah, then Eastern had the bow, and I was like, well, I'm done. Because that was after Meyer and all that other stuff.
Let's get a GG in the chat here for Willard facing off against the pig here with the Master Sword Silver fight.
That was worse.
He finishes at 159.15.
That was worse than I thought it was. That's fine.
The Kane stuff early on was pretty good.
Well, thank you guys for sticking this one out. Appreciate
man.
it.
For sure. All right, Rick. Well, we've seen the end, the thrilling conclusion. I guess we should kind of wrap this one up then. I want to thank you for a real treat, and our tracker, Iceman F1, clicking those buttons behind the scenes. Really appreciate that, man. Yeah, I think I'm good.
If you're good, I'm good. Let's go ahead and plug what we've got coming up once again. If you're wanting more Link to the Past randomizer tournament stuff, Goomba versus McLagan over on Speed Gaming 4. That's about an hour into that seed. We're about a half an hour into the Jet 82 versus Trinex match over on Speed Gaming 5. Next up on this channel, we have Super Mario Sunshine Bingo here on Speed Gaming. That begins in about 35 minutes from now. And so thanks to everybody for joining us. I'm Adirondack Rick. He is Sabbatender. We also had Iceman joining us for the crew. And for everyone at Speed Gaming, thank you for having us. Thank you for helping out with this race. And watch out for Game 2. Should be a lot of fun. Have a good night, everyone.